almost at the end of the year. Darlene, it's been almost a year of Communication Access Connect. Can you believe it? Our first season is almost completed.
Wow. I did not have that reminder, Tim, until just this very moment. Thank you. It's great. We love that we get to do this. We're learning a lot, and I think we're getting lots of great ideas. So yeah, I'm excited for next year too. I'm going to take a second to introduce us to people who don't know us already, but I'm Darlene Hansen, and I'm the Director of Communication Rights for Disability Voices United, and I don't have my virtual background up. 1 second, I'm terrible about these things. And so I have to find it real quick. Here we go. Okay. And so thank you for all being here. I'm gonna, you're meeting Tim here because he started us off, but Tim, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm the Assistant Director of Communication Rights, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Tim. And then we have also with us our intern. You want to introduce yourself?
My name is William Del Rosario, and I am a 22-year-old Hispanic Filipino male with black hair, brown eyes, and my pronouns are he and him. I have autism, apraxia, am a multimodal communicator, and use AAC. Thank you for making the time to be here today.
Thanks, William. And then we have our birthday girl. Happy birthday, Nina. Feel free to write happy birthday wishes in the chat to Nina if you choose to.
Yes,
Nina, you want to say who you are?
There's no other crowd I'd rather spend my birthday with. My name is Nina Spiegelman, and I am the Director of Policy at DVU, and I'm just lucky that Darlene and Tim and William let me hang with them because communication access is a super high priority policy issue for DVU, and it's the best conversations ever. So thank you for my birthday present of letting me tag along, and welcome everybody. I think this is going to be a great session. Communication partners, that is what we hear, about questions about, and issues about probably the most from everybody throughout our very exciting year. So welcome.
Thanks, Nina. And yes, happy birthday, Nina. Okay, so today's exciting time because this has been like on the docket for, it feels like a very long time, and whatever reason it kept getting pushed around, but it's always the theme we come back to, and that's how do we get the right supports, and what are the right supports? What do we even need as supports? So today we've put together a panel to talk about their supports and how they give supports. We have both communicators, AAC users, and we have communication partners. So I'm going to open this up with, I want to introduce you all to Kayla. I'm going to pin you, Kayla, really quick, so I think everybody can see you. This is Kayla. And Kayla, you want to introduce yourself just as a narration real quick, or then I'll turn on your PowerPoint.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kayla, and I am so happy to be here.
Thank you, Kayla, for coming in with us too. I've known Kayla since she was maybe I think you were a young teen when I met you first off. And but she doesn't live around here and around me. So we've just I followed her, kind of stalked her a little bit. So I'm going to turn on, Kayla put together a presentation for us, and I'm going to put that on now. 1 second. Bear with me for 1 second. All righty, here we go, Kayla. All right, Nadine, are you gonna read this then?
Yeah, she wanted me to read it, so I will
Sure.
do that.
Yeah.
The Importance of Communication Partners by Kayla Takeuchi. Hi, my name is Kayla Takeuchi, and I am a non-speaking autistic. I was born in silence, and I had no way to communicate my most basic needs and wants for 15 years. I lived a life of frustration and despair until I typed to communicate for the first time, thanks to my angel, Jana, an FC master trainer. I typed for 3 hours that day, and I knew right then that my life had been transformed. I'd stepped out of silence and found my voice and believed that I had power for the first time in my life.
Okay, hang on 1 second. My little thing has messed up my ability to change screens. There we go. Okay.
While I was fortunate to be fully included with support in elementary school, all I had for communication was the Picture Exchange System, or PEX, which I used until my second year in high school. My education in middle school and high school was non-existent. Even as I could take charge of my own IEP meeting as a sophomore, I was not allowed to take real classes and type in school. We found a charter high school that supported my typing and believed in my intelligence. I went from being moved around like a piece of furniture to a high school graduate. I moved on to Fresno City College and received my associate in arts degree in social sciences, and I am now a history major at Fresno State University. Working with a caring and patient communication partner is so important to me. They need to be patient and understanding of my very unique personality, and they must be trustworthy. I must be able to trust that they believe in me and that they will support me academically and emotionally. I have high anxiety when I am in a new environment, and I can react to loud noises in very surprising ways. My communication partner is proactive and talks with me about possible challenges so that I can be mentally prepared, and she is able to read my body language to anticipate how I may react. She also always understands when I might need more physical support, particularly when the task is difficult for me. In other words, my communication partner is always observant when we are together. I am so fortunate to have excellent partners who do their best to keep my self-confidence high and at the same time be my closest friends. I would like to thank Darlene Hanson for inviting me to share my thoughts today. I also want to thank you all for being here with me, and I hope that my experiences will help you on your communication journey.
Thanks, Kayla. That's great. That's great. I'm gonna have, where's Samuel? Are you there, Samuel?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, oh, there you are. Okay, great. Do you want to do your presentation now, please?
Yes.
yes,
Okay. Agree.
thank you.
Connection, human connection. It's what we all crave. Good afternoon. It's good to be among friends. It's good to connect. My name is Samuel Capozzi, and my mom, Kathy, is supporting my communication today. As I reflected upon the topic this afternoon, I thought about some positives and negatives. By that I mean, what a relief it is to have a reliable means of communication, a reliable means to truly connect, which requires a communication regulation partner. It's amazing and speaks for itself. I am grateful for robust communication and the connections and experiences that come with it. But also, what a drag it is to need a CRP. Can you imagine what that is like for us? Because our bodies are dyspraxic. Many of us autistic non-speakers need support to even initiate communication and sometimes human connection. It sucks. What's more, how can I smoothly talk to my friends or a cute girl while the CRP is present? Laugh out loud. Ideally, a CRP would be as neutral as possible, but come on, it is what it is. It's hard. I certainly mean no disrespect to the many outstanding human beings who are amazing CRPs. You guys have our backs. Mostly, I am a hope through the hard kind of guy. I try to have hope even when it's hard. So, what can be done to decrease the heart of life needing a CRP? What keeps me hoping and has been helpful? A couple of things come to mind. Things you've likely already heard or may even hear today. But here's my take. The first is there must be an authentic connection between the speller and the CRP. The kind of connection that screams trust and proudly presumes competence of the speller and CRP. Yes, we must also presume our CRP is competent. I had some experience with this because I switched communication partners twice when I was in college. The first time, I went from my mom to someone I had never met. We had only 2 weeks of getting familiar with each other until my first day at the university. Gulp. I wasn't sure if she would be able to keep up with supporting me through higher ed. It took faith. It took presuming competence in a different yet similar way. The following CRP had to jump in with both feet as my previous CRP suddenly moved out of state. Boy, did I need to trust and presume competence as she had just dipped her toe in the speller world a few months before she suddenly had to support my communication in courses like statistics and higher level writing courses. Of course, there was lots of training going on simultaneously. Frankly, we stumbled our way through the semester. It was hard. However, she was present. She was committed. She was willing. But most importantly, she enjoyed it. She enjoyed me. We connected. We ended up having a wonderful partnership. And that brings me to my second point. I believe a speller and their CRP should respect and enjoy one another. Plain and simple. If anyone feels like a burden or even unliked, they're not going to be able to focus, perform well, or feel safe to truly communicate. Am I right? This relationship is so intimate and vital to success for the speller. I also believe the connection is crucial for the CRP's feelings of personal and professional satisfaction. It really is a super cool thing. It really is. I am currently experiencing autistic burnout and have placed most of my activities on hold, including law school. I may not be able to sit for this entire session as my body needs to move. My mom may answer some of your questions for me, however, as most of you know, I will be listening. Laugh out loud. During this season of burnout, my CRP has been supporting my slower communication and accessing the community with a dysregulated body. My communication using the letterboard is much slower and overall more difficult because of super high anxiety. Both my mom and she must exhibit great patience as I spell. My body requires a lot more regulation support, which has been a learning process for all of us. This relationship is fluid, always changing, always growing. The role of a communication partner is invaluable. It is life-saving, really. My hope is that training and keeping a qualified CRP would be a bit easier using the self-determination program. As it stands, it is so difficult to do utilizing the available funding, etc. Let's hope and work together on this, because the role of a good CRP is, as I said, life-saving, dignity-saving, humanity-saving. It is worth it. We are worth it. I hope this was helpful, and thank you for your time.
Yes.
Wow, thank you, Samuel. That was great. Now, I don't know if you put it in there, but
Look,
where you graduated from Cal State Channel Islands, right?
Deep blue.
Yes.
Yeah. And what is your degree in?
Okay,
Get deep blue.
the 1 second here.
Click on the.
You
Yes.
know,
What did you graduate with?
Oh. Deep.
he spelled out poli-sci.
Oh, sci.
Sci. Okay, very good. Yes, and now you're waiting to do law school. Yes. Thanks, Samuel. That was great. And if you get up and move around, that's totally fine. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Next, I'm going to have Nadine, there you are, speak a little bit. We want to switch gears and bring in communication partners. Oh, I wanted to say this. CRP stands for Communication Regulation Partner. Okay, and so many autistic people enlist the support of and the train under the umbrella of Communication Regulation Partner. Okay, so just clarification there. Nadine, can you tell us a little bit? Nadine is Kayla's facilitator or support person. I'm gonna have you unmute real quick here.
I don't have anything prepared,
That's
but
fine.
I just wanted to talk about my experience and how we got started. Kayla has been typing for 16 years and she was completely silent before that. We were seeing a doctor in Burlingame at the time who was familiar with typing to communicate. And so we were seeing him, he was a DAN doctor. So we were trying to do the DAN protocol at the time. And so he referred us to an FC master trainer in Cupertino named Jana Woods. And I honestly knew very little about typing to communicate or FC. But we thought, oh, well, you know, we've tried a lot of things. Let's go ahead and try. And it was really amazing what we saw that first time, you know, and she typed for 3 hours. I went in thinking, oh, she's probably going to teach her how to type her name or something like that. And she ended up typing for 3 hours. And I learned so much about Kayla during that first time. And Jana at that time told her in that very same meeting that she would have to decide how much time she would be willing to dedicate every day to practicing with me. And Kayla said, I believe it was 20 minutes at the time. And so that was our goal, was every day we would set aside 20 minutes, and it ended up being way more than that because she was so motivated to learn together how to communicate. So we worked on, basically at the very beginning, we worked on, I'm looking at my notes, so I remember this. We were given practice sheets, which were called set work. And it was basically things like categories, short answer, open sentences where Kayla would fill in the blank. We used flashcards, and Kayla would practice typing the word that labeled the pictures, things like that. And it was so hard for me. I couldn't believe how much work it really was until I did it, because she could not isolate her typing finger. And she needed so much resistance that I had to really pull back on her hand. And it just was, I couldn't believe how strong Kayla was. And it took a lot of strength from me to keep her hand back because she was so impulsive at that time and just wanting to just go. Her mind goes very quickly. Her brain is very fast. So she just wanted to do it. But I had to really hold her back. And we worked and worked and worked. And I'd say it took us about a month to get to open conversation. And ever since then, we did climb up the ladder. There's a ladder for FC, and we did try to, stick with that, but we did reach open communication fairly quickly. Partly, I think, because Kayla was just very motivated to talk. She wanted to tell me a lot of things. So I think that's why we got going pretty easily and pretty quickly. But I was thinking about questions that people have asked me through the years about being a communication partner and how did you get started? And I think what I tell most people is you have to practice. Practicing is so important, even if you're really tired. I mean, there were days I was really tired. I was working full time then, but we just set aside that time and we did it every day. And I think it really paid off. That's why I think Kayla got to her, the open conversation so quickly. And also the other thing I think that helped was Kayla always has her communication device with her. She's had a light writer, she's had small laptops. She's now currently using an iPad mainly, and sometimes my phone. It just kind of depends on where we are. And she takes it everywhere. It's like an extension of her. She has it in her hand all the time. Anytime we're ready to leave the house, it's in her hand. She knows she needs it to communicate. So I think that's really important for, progress. And as a communication partner, I used to have to remind her all the time, but I really don't have to anymore. She's always got it with her. Other than that, I don't have any magic, clues or anything. It just has been a real process. Should I do it more? Should we be typing more? Yes, I will admit to that. We need to do more so that she can maybe someday become independent in her typing. Her apraxia is pretty significant. So I'm not sure that is possible, but I know that it's a dream of hers to be able to do that at some point. And I think we just have to dedicate a lot more time to that. But I think I tell people that it's so life-changing, knowing that your daughter or your son or loved one can communicate, even though on the outside it doesn't look like they can. It's really life-changing. And once you just can't go back. I've had people tell me, I've had people like a speech therapist many years ago watch Kayla, and she was really against FC at that time. And she goes, I've seen Kayla type, and now that I've seen it, I can't go back to the way I've been thinking before. So, I think what we try to do is we try to type as much as possible in the community so that people can see what's possible for people who are non-speaking. And, in that way, we hope that we can help change the way people think about people who do not speak out loud, and hopefully make things easier for the people who are coming up behind us, because we really had a tough time. It's good now. College has been very good to Kayla. The people there have been very good to her, and they honor all of her accommodations. But it's been a tough road. And so hopefully in what we're doing now, it will help people who are coming up in the future. That's our dream anyway.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nadine. That was really good information. And someone's asking what facilitated communication is. So FC is facilitated communication, I just kind of wrote that in the chat real briefly. It's a strategy to support people, to communicate. There's lots of different ways that we support people, and for Kayla, it's called facilitated communication. But that was really great and insightful. So many good points.
Thank you.
You want to go next?
Eric is my communication partner, and he is just in the other room in my place. Eric, you are in the spotlight. Eric is my echo when I want to use my natural voice to talk. Sometimes, Eric tries to filter me when I'm cussing someone out, but overall, he is my shadow when needed. Eric, it's now your turn.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Eric. Just how Tim introduced me, I am his communication partner. I also am a main staff, or you can also say supervisor, for his SDP, also self-determination program. I'm also going to be trying to wing it myself. There's not really much that I really kind of just want to explain my experience when it came to Tim, or any other person that I try to communicate with in general. So I have about a year and a few months with Tim now, so it's kind of a short-term span. I actually met Tim 2 months prior to where he was going to be starting his SDP program, or self-determination program. So I didn't know much of self-determination, and if I can be honest, I didn't know much of Tim himself. I really came into the shift with very small details, knowing anything about Tim. So when I came into the doors, I had noticed that Tim would communicate with me in the beginning with his iPad. Throughout the time, I started to notice his speech, or just the words that he tried to clearly say to me. Prior to working with Tim, I had worked or actually still work as a caregiver. I have about 4 years experience. So within that 4-year span, I've dealt with multiple different personalities, different clients, many who are nonverbal, many who can barely speak around enough for them to communicate of their needs. And then there's many people that I've spoke with that can fully speak whatever they think. I guess I would just say that speech would just be a difficult part to their speaking. So coming to Tim, it was definitely something new to me. It wasn't someone that I can compare to. I feel like everybody's personality is just pretty much their own. They're their own person. So that being said, I came to Tim not knowing much information on him. So I really wanted to commit myself of understanding him. You know, I know a lot of the times he had things he wanted to say to me, whether it being in real time about a TV program that we're watching, something he had in mind days before that. There were so many things that Tim wanted to tell me. It just took a lot of time for me. I would say about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, for me to clearly understand Tim's speech. A lot of the tactics that I tried to use with Tim, I would fail a lot of the times of rhyming out the word that he's trying to say. A lot of the times, like he said, I would try to filter out some of the bad words that he tried to say. But I would say that would be a force of habit of me of trying to kind of like complete the sentence of what he's trying to say. At the end of the conversation, I want to be on point, or I want Tim and I both to be just clear on everything that we're both talking about, whether he's talking to me about something, or if there's anything I've had to talk to him about something. At first, Tim did start with the iPad, that being his communicator. Then Tim started to use the computer a lot. So using the computer a lot, he wanted to avoid using the iPad. Reason being, using the computer a lot, he had a lot of work on his hands. He started to have much more work than where I originally had met him from. So a lot of the times he just put his iPad away, shut his computer off, and at that point, I just hear Tim out from his voice only, and he would talk to me with complete sentences. We talk about anything going on from TV programs, sports, anything. Exactly, everything. So if I can be honest, Tim definitely made the process for me a lot easier compared to some of the other clients that I had more of a difficult experience with. Throughout every client that I've ever been with, I would say my main key of trying to understand any person who has difficult time or has a difficult time with their speech or anything in that regard is patience is definitely the key. I've noticed that with Tim and many other people that they all have in common is that they're all trying. Effort is 100% there all the time when they're trying to communicate with me. So if they're applying the effort, that's where I'll apply the 110% effort, and I will try to understand to the best of my ability. And even if I mess up, Tim will go ahead and correct me, and it's a lot of an easier process when Tim or my other or any client that I've actually had to deal or be their communication partner. Patience was definitely a key for me.
Excellent, thanks.
Eric, what do you advise new staff to understand me better?
That's a very good question. Thank you, Tim. So me being supervisor to Tim's SDP program, one thing that we want to make sure with not just me being a supervisor, but just with all board on staff, we want all staff to be communication partners with Tim. A lot of the times, Tim doesn't want to go ahead and only use the iPad as communication. Tim is a man of full words, so he will go ahead and explain exactly how he feels or anything he wants to go ahead and do at that moment. So with staff, we always do go ahead and encourage them to, it takes about 2-3 weeks for you to understand Tim, that being his routine, his speech. A lot of the times you want to go ahead and understand that person of their lifestyle and how they kind of go off, you know, because my lifestyle was 100% different from Tim's. So adapting to Tim's lifestyle and stuff was something that definitely helped me. I wanted to, he would introduce me to some of his family members, and a lot of the times if he wanted to talk to me about any of that stuff, it was very valid for me to kind of remember a lot of that stuff. So committing myself to a bit of Tim's life was definitely helpful for me, and we encourage that to staff too. We don't encourage staff to kind of just sit there on their phone where they're just kind of just not talking to Tim. It's a lot more helpful when you actually understand or know your client from our experience.
That's a great.
Okay. Thank you, Tim.
I don't know if Tim has something else.
Four. Sometimes my mom and dad looks at you and trying to figure out what I'm saying. Thank you, Eric, for being my echo.
Exactly. In those situations, it's very helpful to understand what Tim is trying to say. So a lot of the times where people haven't seen Tim in a week or 2-3 weeks, they'll have a harder time to understanding Tim. So being very consistent with Tim is very helpful. He makes sure to be on all staff and communicating with them thoroughly, especially using his own voice.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everyone. Thanks to Kayla and Nadine and Samuel and Tim and Eric and all of our presenters today. I got some good notes on things that we got to remember to think about as we're trying to define what's a communication partner necessary for. I want to open it up to questions, comments. I'm hoping that if you are a communicator or a communication partner, that you'll either put tidbits in or engage in a conversation here. Because I think that this is a great time for us to kind of build this bank of information. And
I'm sorry, Darlene, I didn't mean to cut you off. I have a question from William in the chat.
yes.
Eric, how did you get trained as a communication partner? And is there anything that would have made that training or that process easier?
As a caregiver, my beginning career of being a caregiver, I actually got the experience of being with a client who was nonverbal. So that's where I was introduced from the iPad communicator. The communicator was definitely helpful for him. In this specific situation, he did or had or has autism. So having him to focus with me was something already kind of a challenge. So having him to speak with me was just something, I would say, the cherry on top to that. So I would mainly try to focus when it came to somebody who was nonverbal, and try to get the point across of what they want to eat, the main needs. And from that point, I just basically kind of learned their personality. I'd catch the funny moments of some of the funny things they were personally trying to say, but they just weren't able to communicate across. After that, I actually had another client who had cerebral palsy, first time ever working with him. And it took a lot of patience. If I can be honest, I was reading a lot more of like dictionary books to just normal books, trying to refresh in my brain because their vocabulary would be a little different from mine. So I would take a little bit more initiative to try to understand them. If I can be honest, anything to make it easier. No, I feel like each person that has put me through each challenge has just bettered me as a person and has just opened my mind up to many different ways to communicate. I hope that can try to answer the question.
Great, that was perfect. And are you going to do the questions, or do you want me to do them?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Sorry, I was really curious about William, so that's why I wanted to make sure that.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
Very
you.
good. So Mary Munoz was asking at 4:30, where can we find communication support staff? I would love to hire someone to work with my sister through SDP. That's the problem we have in our community, right, peoples? And you guys can, anybody who knows different, please chime in. But we don't have, like, people don't go to learn to be communication partners until they have someone, unfortunately at this time, until they have someone. We're trying to get this to change. So what we end up doing is hiring the support person and then training them to be the communication support person. So that's tougher. Well, I understand that, but at this time, that's how it kind of has to work. And so it would depend on what your sister's needs were to be a communicator. As you can see, there's a whole variety of different needs. But if there are ways that we can get training to people once you have someone hired. So I don't know if that totally answers your question, but I think that's part of the problem here. Teresa was talking about needing assistive technology in the Alta area. So if anybody knows anything about getting an assessment or getting it into your IPP in Alta, please write that in the chat. Someone suggested Communication Technology Education Center for Alta, and they're very good people. Eric, you're awesome. I'm kind of like Tim, who's very social. Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's see. Lots of great, what about FC? Oh, Hayu So says, how can we ask FC typing to communicate program to be incorporated into an IEP? Anybody got any big suggestions before I chime in? Nadine, you want to, I'm going to ask you to unmute, Nadine.
That's really tough.
Okay, I'm
I
glad you
mean,
said it.
it's, I mean, for us, it was impossible. I hate this. It sounds so negative, but that's why we had to leave. We had to go to a charter school. They were willing to, I don't even remember what her IEP was there, but they funded it. They fully supported the FC at the charter school. So that's what we did.
Yep, that's,
I don't know if it's changed. That's been a while. From what I hear, it has not changed, just from other people who are challenged with this.
yes, that is, IEP is hard.
It is very hard.
My suggestion is that families learn how to do the support necessary for communication, and that your best bet is to say, hey, at home this is happening and we need it to happen at school. It's hard, as I think, as all of you as communication partners have spoken about, the relationship and the desire to know this individual is so important that you can't write that into an IEP. You can't tell someone they have to want to get to know your person. You can train them on how it works, but that relationship is so huge that we can't write that into an IEP. So Tim, you got one?
I have a question for Kaya. What was it like for you to be heard? Your mom said that your arms were really strong. Did you felt relief that you finally can be heard?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to communicate so badly that I wanted to practice but I was worn out from my strength. I felt like I had been set free from prison.
We can only imagine. Yeah. I think that's another thing that we have to add to our list, Tim, of what it takes to be the communication partner training is there has to be time allowed. all of you are talking about time. You know, it takes time.
It
This
does.
isn't something that you can just have scheduled tomorrow and then you're ready to go, right? So I think that's one more of my takeaways here. Bella wrote that she's in a new partnership right now and love having opportunity to hear from other duos. Many challenges to overcome in the beginning, but possible to gain fantastic partnerships. I'm loving hearing both perspectives. Thanks, Bella. Jose wrote, any resources, applications for communication, but most importantly, training support for the consumer and family. Anybody have any tips? I'm looking to see, anybody's got any tips? I'll give a paid tip right here, sorry, but it's a tip. You can go to kindred.com. That's one company I have that works on training people to be communication partners for people who spell. There's also the group that Edlin has. Where's Samuel? There he is. Wait, what's it called? Communication for Education. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so Communication for Education is another place that you can look at. And anybody else have any resources, please put them in there. Let's see.
We have some general statewide, I mean, they're not so much communication partner specific, but they might lead you. You know, I would follow, I saw in the chat, there were suggestions about for in the education section, you know, setting, ask for an AT assessment, you know, one thing may lead to another. So in our on our Disability Voices United website, we have a communication interchange, and there are some general communication resources there, and also on Ability Central. They have a great, you know, there's a lot of communication resources listed there. And I sometimes contacting general groups, you can make some connections. You know, you might talk to people and make some connections there. But I also wanted to come back around to the point that Darlene was making from all of your great points from this, our speakers, this notion of the time, and when you're making an argument to school districts and even regional centers about needing support, what, you know, and maybe not highlighting that it's called FC or supported typing, but like where you can show that, you know, you've made this investment and you actually have, like Darlene was saying, the family has a way of communicating. There's a relationship here. The importance of time, like there isn't a 2-day training program. You know, I mean, now there's Kindred, but you know, there aren't off the shelf things. It's the relationship. It's the relationship that's so critical, just the way in so many things for communication in you know, across the board. So, you know, I think that a lot of this to me always underscores you have to put bits and pieces together to make your arguments, to find the support. But this was, you know, I've gotten, you know, just hearing you guys, oh my God, it's really inspiring.
Carrie wrote at 444 for Spanish translation. She wrote, I remember my new aide tried to use sign language with me. I just looked at her and said, talk to me normally because I can't understand sign language. I love that. That's great, Carrie. And she's been with you for 8 long years, you say. That's awesome. Great. And Carrie, if you want to add anything in there, Carrie, about what you need from your communication partner to make it click, feel free to do that. We'd love to hear from you.
In my SDP, I have very long shift, and one of the reasons why I want a long shift is because my staff can't understand me just an hour a day, once a week, or every other day. When I was in the traditional system, I have staff come and go all the time, and they never really became my communication partners because the agency did not understand the time to learn my habits.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like what Bella wrote at 4:48, she wrote, may have lovely AAC accommodations on IEP, but rapport and trust is not guaranteed. Right, that's built. Feel free to interrupt me if you have anything to say, Samuel or William even, or anybody. Myra wrote, she's with Avena Healthcare and FMS, and if there are any specific questions in relations to FFS and CRP, FCO related, please reach out to Myra. Thanks, Myra. That's awesome. So if you're trying to figure out how to get communication access into your spending, or you have it in your spending plan and you want to figure out what you're supposed to do with it and how to make it work, perhaps you can help us, Myra. Where's Myra? Are you still here? Oh, can I unmute you and do you have like 2 top tips or something? That would be great. I'm going to ask you to unmute. Yeah. Perfect.
Hi, you can hear me now, right?
Yeah.
What was your question?
So do you have like 2 top tips for getting communication support into your spending?
Definitely talk to your service coordinator, and the service coordinator works with the FMS providers to make sure that the spending plan is executed correctly, that all of the service providers on your plan are paid on time. Definitely service coordinators are very, very important.
So how are people describing their need for support for communication in their plans so that it gets to the right place?
Right. So to be honest, CRP and FCs, it hasn't been a huge topic that has come up, which might mean that it's a good thing because it's a service that might just be streamlined and not have any glitches going on. But thank you for bringing up this topic. I'm going to relay the information to Aviana, and if there's any topics of concern, if there's any issues with CRP or ideas, I think it's very important when you mentioned that there is no official training right now for CRP, that it's usually just training the providers that are working with clients. I'm going to relay all that information. So thank you for sharing.
That's great. That's great. And I know I'm vendored or signed up, or however we'll call it, with Aviana as a communication support, resource. So people are using it. That's fine. That's all I know.
Yes, if there are any ideas, any ways you would like to collaborate, or issues you want to bring to the forefront, send me a message. I left my email there. We also have a general SDP email that you can send to, but I'll forward it to the right place.
Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. William was asking our speakers, do you feel confident asking for additional training? Should it be ongoing training? Any of you who have IPPs, or even IEPs? Christina, I'm going to unmute you. There you go.
Hi, thank you. Thanks everyone for all this wealth of information and the stories that you're sharing. I had a couple questions. And I don't know, did you need an answer to your previous question, Darlene?
Yes, whichever, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, because I raised my hand simultaneously. So my son Johnny, we were told that, this was many years ago, that he didn't understand abstract concepts. And so typing wouldn't be something that he would be capable of doing. Since we've had an assessment about maybe 5 years ago and have started to realize that that's not the case, and he's been very interested in wanting to do it and engaged in it. It's been a slow process, and I'm wondering if he's 24 now. He just stepped away, but if someone is ever too old to start this process, and do you think once they're out of school, is it helpful to have an assessment and then try to go from there, and then finding good communication partners? The challenge we've come up with is everybody seems to have so many people that they're helping support, that it's hard to find people to be able to do this. So I'm wondering what you would suggest for those two areas of concern.
Okay, those are good questions. If any of our panelists have any suggestions, start letting me, creating, and then let me know. But if a person already has a communication system that works, unless you want to have something new in your life, I don't understand the whole assessment thing. He doesn't need an assessment to document that he's an AAC user, in my mind. I know I'm not the norm, but that would be the way I would advocate, unless you feel like you want some new information. Of course, that's okay. Then ask for an assessment. Never too late to start. Never too late, for sure. And then, oh, now I forgot your other question was about communication partner, right? What was it? How much time, or what? I forget, sorry. What was it you said, Christina, about?
Sorry. It was just finding, we had, a great support person, but unfortunately he's working within the school district. So, and finding people that, to train us and to, and then also support, be a partner as well. That's the challenge that we've been finding.
Yeah. So again, anybody can chime in, but what I found is first have your support people and then train them to be the communication partner is the best way to go. So that's the hard part about school districts, is they just give you an aid, and then you may or may not click with that person, and we got this whole relationship thing we need to deal with. So that becomes the hard part. But at home, I would say, find your support people and then work on getting them trained through. There's in the chat, there's a bunch of different ways that we can get people trained coming through. And you can always reach out to me or Tim later and we can give you a big list. But well, it's not big, it's not huge, but at least there's a list nowadays. Used to be a list. So we can help you out that way. Anybody else? Tim, you want to add?
Yeah, he's been typing away over
I
here.
see a lot of.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Tim.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Sam's been typing away over here. We couldn't get his keyboard to pair, of course, today. So I'm going to be saying what he's typing. So he typed earlier to William's William's question about what do they think about asking for ongoing training? He said absolutely need ongoing training. He self-advocated through that for that with DOR quite a bit, especially during the summers when school wasn't in, to continue to build more rapport, to work on him typing more independently, which was his personal goal. So yeah, I think ongoing training is always, that's what you were getting at earlier. And then to the lady that was just speaking, Samuel spelled out that perhaps you can contact communication first on their, well, what did you say, on their, so he said he's typing out website.
website
to
to
look
look
at
at
what's
what's
going
going
on
on
in
in
the
the
AAC
C
world
world
overall.
overall. Yes,
So
ma'am.
that's what he had to say.
Yes, ma'am.
Great, those are great, Samuel.
I see a lot of my colleagues in this session. A few weeks ago, we all had a work retreat for 4 days, and many of them got familiar with my natural voice, like Monica and Miguel. Do you guys want to comment to this?
Raise your hand if you do, and I'll unmute you. It's Monica and Miguel. Monica's a yes, okay. Go Monica first, and we'll do Miguel.
Hi, Tim. So I did get more familiar with you at the retreat, excuse me, but I'm thinking of the first time that I met you with Eric when we went scoping out locations for the retreat. And I wasn't sure where to look at your toes or your eyes for communication, but I was really amazed with your feet, and you have a really warm, snarky, smart alecky personality that I felt comfortable with. So that works with me. And I think that kind of goes back to the personalities and the people being a good fit for one another. For me, I enjoy that humor that you would put out. And so I felt comfortable asking you things like, how did you even learn to type with your toes, Tim? And then going on to spend the weekend with you, listening to you, and stuff. I feel like the relationship was set up well for me. And so I'm grateful for that. You make yourself open to people asking questions. I struggle to understand, and I felt like on the weekend, I sort of understood your verbal communication better. And I do just talking to you every once a week. You know, I felt like, okay, after the weekend, I got what you were saying more. But then that's gone. Now I'm only seeing you once a week. So it's consistency that was really helpful. And I think we have a good attitude for one another. And I think that was really important too.
And Miguel, did you want to say something? Thanks, Monica.
Yeah, everything that Monica says. Not just kidding. Yeah, I seeing Tim once a week, it can be a bit. It takes more paying attention to understand him, but like Monica said, after spending a weekend with Tim, we got to know each other very well, and I was able to pick, both Tim and I have cerebral palsy, so I was able to relate to some of the sounds that I make myself. And judging, I was able to better understand Tim's body language after some time. You know, I remember we started out with dinner Thursday night, and we sat Tim and I sat next to each other, so I was really able to just learn and understand both his body language as well as his language. And so it was really a weekend of learning and getting to know each other, which after a little over a year for me that I've been with DVU, getting together and learning from each other was really, really exciting. I enjoyed it.
those are great. I'm wondering too, what I keep hearing, the theme is that, that to get to know Tim, and not to put you on the spot, Tim, or make it all about you, but the reality is getting to know the individual. And when you don't have a person who has clear speech or uses speech effectively, you're using a lot of body language and the personality that comes out. Now, I know many of my autistic friends, and maybe some of my friends with cerebral palsy, don't have that body that shows that kind of information, shows that engagement. So I'm thinking maybe if some of you might want to comment on what are you going to need to, because this is obviously a very important piece, right? So what are you going to need to have in place or available to you so that people can get to know you when your body doesn't show everything that Tim's, Tim's body is different, but it's very expressive, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of you don't have those expressive bodies. So I'm kind of curious as to what you would think about that. And there's a few comments here about working with AAC for the individuals who are deaf and hard of hearing. And I don't want to put, Ed, are you around?
I am. Sorry, it took a second to unmute.
No, do you have any comments? Have you been reading that?
I have. I don't know about and see, this is like a more professional thing, so I would default to you with Griselda's question regarding, are there any AAC systems for people that are deaf and non-speaking with like sign language icons? I think that's a great question. I've never heard of one, but it would surprise me if there wasn't one. I just wonder where you would go to get it, or who would be using it. Darlene, any thoughts? Like what organizations you might go to for that?
Yeah, Nina, raise your hand, so Logan first.
I'll just pop in. There are, again, let me just recommend also, there's a ton of technology resource material on the Ability Central website. I highly recommend that. We do list some of deaf resources on our interchange, and every regional center needs to have a Deaf Plus coordinator. Now there's been new funding for deaf services, and in the state of California, the just for deaf and deaf blind services and other aspects, there are some agencies that are kind of like the regional center. There's one in Northern California called DECARA, and one in Southern California, but I don't know their exact name. I think we put some of that on our interchange, but if there's technology out there, there's definitely some of these agencies and websites can help out with that. But can I also just jump in, going back to Tim, since it's always all about Tim, I would just say, one of the things that I have found, like, I feel like Tim he's gotten into my brain, and he has like done a complete like takeover of my psyche, because Tim does let's not forget the other way of communicating is in the middle of the night emails. Tim's got ideas that never stop. His mind never stops. So there's like work assignments and what about this and what about this? And now when I'm in certain situations, Tim's voice, yes, I'll call it his voice. It's just his essence it has done a takeover. So never underestimate. And Tim will say, this is how I operate. I never shut down. And, and basically you better get used to it. And he's right. So I just recommend be out there, know yourself and just make that clear to people. Cause I think that's one of the things that I have learned so much from Tim, from William. I just working with them on this. It's like, it's completely, it's been life-changing, honestly. So thanks, Tim and William.
Well done. Okay, we got the DECARA web link in here for you, Griselda. I think, and there's ways to learn sign language, but the icons are picture-based. So I'm feeling like an AAC system could work if you have hearing, and not hearing, vision. If you don't have vision, then that's going to be a different challenge. But If you have vision and you don't have hearing, I feel like some of the apps and the communication devices could work. I don't know if you've tried that or not.
I will say, if I may, Darlene, that as you know, sometimes, especially if you've been either in a mainstream school or in a segregated classroom in a mainstream school that's not specifically set up to accommodate deaf people, folks' reading ability is not necessarily always where it might be. So if you're trying to, I know you said image-based ones, but if there are like word-based ones, I could see why.
Oh yeah.
I could totally see why sign icons might be easier for folks to grapple with.
Right, but if you're gonna, but yes, I was not thinking of print. It gives you print, but
Gotcha.
you use the icon the icon could be a person signing go, or it could be a little symbol of the arrow that says go. There's some other, you guys are putting out great information. We have to definitely save this chat, you guys. Because there's tons of great information coming out. Kayla just wrote, a potential friend needs to have much patience to get to know me. I know I do not always show that I'm engaged, so I would like to tell people that I really am interested in them. So speaking to the fact that her body language doesn't always give off the right message or the one she intends. William's a great team at
My friend Josh can totally speak for himself, but he has very little body language, but we communicate through laughter and talk. Josh and I communicate really well.
Yeah, because you got to know Josh. Yeah, yeah. Let's see, I'm looking at, so you guys are great. Okay, Samuel was reminding us to get to know me as a dyspraxic autistic person is patience. Again, it's going to take time. Patience takes time, right? And Tommy was reminding us that even a reliable yes, no can be difficult. William put it out there, regional centers would like our agency vendors to train. I like the idea of an outside trainer specific to me and my communication. Ooh, I like that, William, too. Like, what if you brought your own communication trainer with you and you said, hey, here's the, whoever works for me, my person and me are training you. That's actually, I like that idea. Not that it has to be me, but I like the idea that you each have your own, trainer people, and then they have to hire your person. I think that's a great idea. So listen, thank you for all our ideas there. Okay, we are running up to, we're not done yet, but we are running up to the end closely. We end sharply at 5:30 because our wonderful translators, who I want to say a big thank you to right now, do leave at 5:30 or need to leave at 5:30. So be sure and raise your hand, such as Yvette's doing, and I'm going to get you in 1 second. Also know that, Ed, can you put in, or Kyra, or I can't even talk anymore myself, so I'm just going to type. Can someone put in the SDP conference information, please?
Yes, I did that before and I'll do it again.
Perfect. December 2nd, everyone, is our self-determination conference. It's going to be virtual, and we hope to see everyone there. We do have some sessions on communication, and we definitely have a lot of sessions on advocacy and self-determination. So that revolves around communication, of course. So we hope to see you guys there. If you're not in self-determination yet, it's a place to learn about what it would be like. We also have our SDP Connect on Wednesdays, and we have all kinds of information archived so you can learn more about it to prepare yourself for the conference on the 2nd. So that's coming up, and then we'll have this meeting will be next month on November, I want to say the 16th, whatever that Tuesday is. Let's see, 15th, November 15th, and that's going to be open forum, and that's going to be our last one for this calendar year. Okay, so I always sit in the wrong spot, calendar year. Join us because we're going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. You guys are the guest speakers. All right, so that'll be November 15th. Thanks. Okay, Yvette, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Yes, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Yvette Uvalde. I'm one of the 21 deaf and hard of hearing community coordinator specialists with the regional centers. And one of the things I wanted to share is regarding sign language, whether you are trying to learn sign or find another method of communication, you know, anything with signing, hearing, all of that. My suggestion is to reach out to your regional center deaf specialist. Each regional center has my position. I work for San Andreas Regional Center in Santa Clara County, Santa Cruz County, San Benito County, and Monterey. So I know you mentioned Alta. So if you want specific, you know, who your person is, I'd be happy to send you, I can put my email in the message, and you can tell me which regional center that you are at, and I will do the best to connect you to the deaf specialist. The reason why is sign language should come from the specialist, because, you know, sometimes online may not always work, or it may be a better option. So I just wanted to make that clear that there is a small resource. It just started, and so I'm excited to join this team, and I'm learning a lot as well, even though I'm a specialist, but I'm still learning here, and I appreciate everyone's honesty and upfront and sharing challenges. I'm profoundly deaf, and communication barrier goes with me everywhere, because communication is across the board. I don't care what level you are, what background you are, none of that matters. If you don't have effective communication or a mode of communication that both people are in agreement, then it's going to just be more frustrating. And even though I'm a professional, I still validate and empathize with you guys, because even every day I still are reminded of my hearing loss. And not fun, but the only thing is to kind of think what I can do to enhance my life with you guys. You're empowering each other, and I really want to continue with that as a disabled person. Keep doing that, don't give up, and you know, I can help with the deaf part.
Wow, thank you. That was awesome. And I took down Yvette's name, so I'm sure you'll be hearing from us. That was great. Okay, I'm gonna go to Worknish in a second, but Tommy's asking, and maybe some of our communicators could write about this. Can you speak to having communication partners in your life who are different skill levels? Maybe some are people who can support you to make you be at different skill levels, excuse me. Maybe you can communicate efficiently with somebody through spelling or typing or your device, but then other people you only use your non-verbal or your some other kind of communication system. Anybody got some words on that for our communicators? And I'm gonna open this up to Worknish. I hope I'm saying your name right, Worknish. You can unmute now. Wait, now you can unmute. No, why can't you unmute? Okay. I'm asking you, Worknish, to unmute, and it's doing nothing.
Yes,
there we go. Question?
No, I was just going to say Worknish has to accept the invitation to unmute from his end as well.
Okay. All right, Worknish, you would have to accept it. I'm asking to unmute. You have to say yes. Accept. One more time. Sorry. Okay. I'm gonna, if you get unlocked, then we'll bring you back in. That'd be great. Let's see, what else do we have here? Anything I'm looking to see? Bunch of emails in here. Yvette, you're gonna be busy now. Okay, any comments from our communicators? Any parting words from our communication partners or our communicators from today? Blanca's writing something. Oh, here. So Blanca wrote, my daughter is deaf and she communicates in ASL a bit with people out in our community. It's difficult. Yes. What community do you live in, Blanca? Just curious. Bella says, my output can vary. The more skilled, the more output I can give. I imagine that works for the individuals who are deaf and using sign language as well, right? You, like Blanca's saying, she can't communicate out in the community, but she can with people who understand sign language. Blanca says, we live in South LA. She has Chaffee syndrome. Okay. ASL courses should be required in our schools K-12. Right, at least available, right? Yes. Oh, charge syndrome. Oh, okay. Okay, so I had a friend who had charge. And he used sign language as well. He also used spelling and AAC. I don't know if your daughter uses AAC as well. Not that she would have to just because my friend did. Rima says, I am deaf and hard of hearing specialist in Alta Regional Center. Okay, great. There's somebody from the deaf group community at Alta is on there. Makes it more difficult, yeah. Okay, Samuel, let's unmute you. Here you go. You got it, Kathy?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you all for thank you all for your care. Please don't give up either accessing communication or supporting someone to communicate like I said it's life.
This summer.
You got it.
Got it.
It's life-saving.
Saving. Yes, summer. Mom, kiss.
That's it?
Yes, summer.
Okay.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you for your input and thank you for putting yourself together and like putting, you know, I know this takes a lot of energy for you right now, and I really appreciate hearing from you. Let's see. Well, it says my success very much depends on my CP skill level. Tommy said thanks. Blanca uses ATAT, but she does not have any followed up training or actualization. Well, that's a problem. As you can see, people are saying, Blanca, that there should be follow up and support to you and your daughter for sure. Got some thank yous in here, Samuel and the team. Carrie says we need an in-person activity one day. You mean from this group?
Yeah.
But where would it be? We're in the whole state of California. You guys are gonna have to get, I don't know where Carrie lives, but you guys put it on the calendar. People might show up. It's a meetup. Christiana writes, Kayla has her hand up. Kayla, where are you? Oh, Kayla, sorry. Go for it, Kayla.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Darlene, for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Thank you, everyone, for your support.
Thank you, Kayla, for speaking to us today. It was great to hear from you. William, you want me to read yours or are you going to read it?
You can read it, he said.
Okay. William said, know how much this helps our community. What I am hearing is we all have different modalities for communication and must get our team to put communication first. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. All right. Ed, any parting words?
None whatsoever, other than please, folks, remember that we have SDP Connect next week. And as Darlene said, that our November Communication Access Connect will be our last for the year. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to our fabulous interpreters for interpreting for us today.
Yes, and thank you. I know it was kind of chaotic for you guys, but thank you very much.
See you all at the season finale.
That's what we'll call it, Tim, the season finale. All right, thank you. This was a great, rich conversation. Perfect. We'll see you next month.